The internet is in shock after 21 Savage allegedly leaked a secret wiretap featuring Wack 100 in a private conversation that's now gone viral. The explosive audio reportedly includes Wack discussing internal industry dealings, naming names, and exposing behind-the-scenes manipulation, some of which could have serious legal consequences. What sent the situation into overdrive wasn't just the leak, it was Wack 100's emotional reaction. In a now viral live stream, Wack was seen visibly shaken, pacing, and even breaking down in front of viewers as he realized the extent of the damage. "They recorded me in my own circle," he said, voice trembling. "That's a federal setup. I know what this is." Social media erupted as the clip spread across all platforms, with fans, influencers, and even fellow rappers weighing in. Many are now questioning who was really in Wack's corner and whether 21 Savage has more damning material waiting to be released.
And I just want to say this to y'all. When they raided my houses and my property, they was asking about Wack. Wack, loose cannon, 600, and this internet stuff.
The leaked audio has already sparked rumors of federal interest, with insiders claiming investigators are reviewing the tape due to names mentioned in connection to ongoing cases. If true, this could trigger a wave of subpoenas across the industry. With reputations, alliances, and possibly freedom on the line, this leak may be one of the most damaging moments in hip-hop this year, and Wack 100 may not recover from it. Wack 100 has been shouting "snitch" for years, loudly calling out others and questioning their street credibility. But now, a leaked wiretap, allegedly dropped by 21 Savage, has brought serious attention back to Wack's own history, specifically a 2005 federal gun case that many believed was closed for good. This tape has reignited questions about whether Wack may have been playing both sides all along. Imagine someone who spends every day publicly accusing others of cooperating with authorities.
I'm gonna give you some time. I don't know, 24 hours, 12 hours, 5 hours, 6 hours, 1 hour. I don't know. I'm gonna give you some time though, Gunner, for you to go ahead on and confess.
And then suddenly a federal detail from the past resurfaces, like a badge flashing from behind the curtain. That one slip may have changed everything. But the story doesn't just revolve around the tape itself, it's about who possibly leaked it. According to reports, the source of the recording is 21 Savage, and this wasn't just some casual repost. Word is 21 might have been sitting on this clip for a while, waiting for the right moment to use it. And considering how long Wack has thrown dirt on 21's name, calling him a government informant, suggesting he worked with ICE to stay in the US, even linking him to the YSL Rico mess, it's no surprise that 21 may have wanted to respond. For years, he stayed quiet, only offering minimal pushback. But this was a strategic hit. If 21 Savage really did drop that recording, it wasn't just retaliation, it was a checkmate move. No words, no posturing, just receipts.
Alright, so yeah, after you got that message, after you got the message, you hit up Big U's wife. You said, "Sis, 911. 1 sec, let me get solo." And you gave him a heads up.
What I tell him?
You said, "1 sec, let me get solo. He needs to leave. Bad." In caps, all caps, he needs to leave.
I said so bad, right?
Yeah, so bad.
After countless clubhouse rants and sneak disses, it seems like 21 decided to let the facts speak louder than anything Wack ever said. When you look at the bigger picture, Wack's long history of finger pointing starts to look like distraction, an attempt to redirect attention away from himself. And now, those same accusations he hurled at others are circling right back to him. This isn't the first time Wack 100's name has been linked to law enforcement activity. A few months ago, reports surfaced that Big U had been indicted on federal RICO charges. But what really shook the streets was what happened just before Big U turned himself in. In a video that quickly made rounds online, Big U openly accused Wack 100 of working with the FBI. Now here's where the situation started to raise even more questions. Before the RICO case made headlines, before anyone had been arrested, and before any paperwork surfaced, Wack already knew what was coming. According to sources, Wack contacted Big U's wife, sending a message that sounded like a red alert, something along the lines of, 911, he needs to leave.
And I'm going through it. I said, yeah, I don't know nothing about this. He said, man, y'all too tight. I see Big U's signature. I see other signatures. I'm reading it. And what shook me was the police issued device to communicate with law enforcement in form of a BlackBerry.
The fact that Wack reached out before any official action had taken place is what had people scratching their heads. Why did he know about a federal raid before it happened? That didn't come off like a warning. It felt like a setup in motion, almost like he was tipping them off to a situation he had inside knowledge of. After Big U was booked, Wack didn't back off. Instead, he hit the internet and started pointing fingers, accusing Big U of being the one playing both sides. Wack claimed Big U used a BlackBerry phone to communicate with federal agents, an accusation meant to deflect attention. But instead of silencing suspicion, it added fuel to an already burning fire. People started asking tough questions. How does Wack always seem to know about federal moves before they go public? Why is he always connected to these high-stakes cases, but never directly in trouble himself?
Bro, what you mean?
Damn,
Because obviously you ain't going to court because you was going to court. Every time you go to court, they gonna let us know you going to court. So
I can't go to court for immigration if I got an open gun
what
case.
about
fool.
the gun case, bull?
I can't go to court for immigration if I got an open gun
They will give you
case.
your
man.
time.
That call to Big U's wife didn't feel like a friendly heads up. It felt calculated, like someone trying to stay close to the chaos while making sure none of it touches them. At that point, the public narrative started shifting. Wack 100 was no longer seen by some as just a loud voice calling out others. The theory began forming that maybe he's not the watchdog. Maybe he's playing both sides. And all of this connects back to a situation that's been buried for years. A federal case from 2005 that never quite disappeared. Reports say that Wack 100 and his brother were pulled over in Texas back in 2005. Initially, nothing seemed out of the ordinary. It was just a routine traffic stop for speeding. Officers approached the vehicle, asked some standard questions, and were told they were on their way to a funeral in Oklahoma. Then the situation escalated. When officers asked to search the car, Wack reportedly declined. That's when a K9 unit was brought in. After a quick sweep, the dog alerted, and that's when things took a serious turn. Officers discovered a shotgun, a rifle, and a pistol, all loaded and stored inside the vehicle. Here's where things got critical. Both Wack and his brother were already convicted felons at the time. Under federal law, that's an automatic weapons charge. In most cases, arrests like this lead straight to prison, with no bail, no exceptions. It's the kind of case that typically shuts down any future in entertainment or public life.
Why Kodak told him that though?
Because his statement is Wack.
But surprisingly, Wack posted bail and returned to Los Angeles shortly after. No media coverage, no loud headlines. Then came 2 years of complete silence. No updates, no legal drama. And then, without warning, the case was officially dismissed. Not for lack of evidence, not for procedural error, but with a phrase that stood out: in the interest of justice. For those familiar with the justice system, that phrase is anything but casual. It doesn't usually appear in firearm cases involving convicted felons. It's not a mercy ruling. That kind of dismissal typically implies some form of cooperation, information traded in exchange for leniency. Wack would later claim the case was tossed due to an illegal search, but that claim didn't match the official court records. There was no mention of unlawful procedure, no legal error, just a clean dismissal, case closed. The documents were public, and anyone who reviewed them saw the same conclusion. The charges vanished without a legal fight. This left people questioning how a federal gun case against 2 convicted felons could just disappear. The pieces didn't add up, and for many, it was the first crack in a narrative Wack 100 had worked hard to maintain. The timing is what really casts a long shadow over this entire situation. Just a couple of years after Wack 100's 2005 federal gun case quietly disappeared, Suge Knight, Wack's former boss at Death Row Records, started facing serious federal pressure. According to The Hollywood Reporter, Suge was named in a gang injunction that sparked major investigations. His inner circle was targeted with raids, wiretaps, and legal action. But through it all, Wack's name never appeared in any public documentation. Not one mention, no interviews, no raids, nothing. As the feds peeled back layers around Suga's operation, it looked like Wack stayed completely untouched. Then came the high-profile kidnapping case involving members of the Main Street Crips, connected to an alleged plot involving NBA legend Shaquille O'Neal. Court transcripts from that case reportedly mention a man named Wack, someone who left messages and made calls that raised red flags. And according to multiple sources, many believe that Wack was actually a nickname for Wack 100. While never confirmed officially, that association has circulated for years, and when paired with his silence in multiple federal investigations, the speculation only grew louder. Fast forward to the present day, and Wack 100 is now one of the most vocal critics on social media. He's been calling out Gunna, BG, Brick Baby, 21 Savage, and even J Diggs, portraying himself as a street-level moral authority. But for those who've tracked his history, the pieces don't seem to align. The reality is, most people don't walk away from federal gun charges, especially not convicted felons found with 3 loaded firearms in their vehicle. That type of case is typically airtight. So when Wack walked away without jail time, without probation, and without explanation, it didn't match the tough image he's built for himself online. And now, with a new video surfacing that allegedly shows a police ID peeking out of his wallet, those old questions are being dragged back into the spotlight. It's not just about the badge. It's not just about rivalries. It's about a long-standing question that has never truly been answered. What was exchanged for that case to vanish? Because for many, it's hard to accept that someone walks away that clean, unless something significant was handed over in return. And that's the contradiction that continues to haunt the story behind Wack 100's public persona. There's one word Wack 100 loves more than any other: snitch. It's his go-to insult. Whenever a rapper gets arrested or accepts a plea deal, Wack is quick to hop on Clubhouse and accuse them of cooperating with law enforcement. He did it with Gunna, claiming to have a 2-hour interrogation tape and threatening to leak it if Gunna didn't come clean. But that tape, it never dropped. It was all talk, just more noise. Wack also went after BG, a respected artist who already served over a decade behind bars. Wack accused him of snitching too, despite no documents ever supporting the claim. In fact, BG's former cellmate went on record saying BG never folded once while inside. None of that mattered. Wack kept pushing the narrative. No paperwork, no verified evidence, just accusations. And for some, those claims were convincing at first. To casual listeners, he appeared to be holding people accountable. But those paying closer attention started spotting a pattern that couldn't be ignored. Wack is always the loudest when he's under pressure. Every time heat comes his way, the accusations against others ramp up. He doesn't just call people out, he deflects, redirects, and buries the narrative under louder headlines. One of the most troubling habits he's developed is recording conversations, something that's been confirmed by people he's interacted with. That's not how most move in the industry, especially those claiming to stand on street principles. Constantly recording calls raises the question, what's the goal? Who are those recordings for? And when are they being used? Even more concerning, some rappers Wack has invited to Clubhouse or engaged with publicly later ended up in serious legal trouble. Take Loose Cannon, for example. He went on Clubhouse, talked freely, and eventually got caught up in a case. The connection might be indirect, but it's part of a growing list that fans are starting to question. Wack 100's pattern of pointing fingers while staying just outside the flames is being watched closer than ever. The longer he keeps accusing others without evidence, and the more names tied to him get into legal trouble, the harder it becomes to ignore the contradictions in his approach. Now, the conversation has shifted. People are beginning to ask the uncomfortable questions. Was Wack 100 setting people up? Was he deliberately getting artists to talk reckless on public platforms like Clubhouse just to clip the audio and let it go viral while prosecutors did the rest? The behavior is starting to feel less like chaos and more like coordination. From baiting people into heated arguments to conveniently timed leaks that always seem to benefit his image or deflect attention, There's a pattern forming, and while not every move is backed by hard proof, the repetition is becoming too frequent to ignore. At some point, the coincidences start piling up. The leaked video might have set off this new wave of speculation, but it didn't surface in a vacuum. It builds on a series of moves that trace back to that mysterious 2005 federal gun case, the one that quietly disappeared without a conviction. Then came the moment he knew about Big U's RICO arrest before it even hit the press. Add in the wiretap references, the video clips showing a possible badge, and his long history of recording conversations. This isn't just messy behavior, it looks strategic. The more people revisit the timeline, the more it feels like Wack hasn't just been a loud voice in hip-hop. He's been operating in the open, hiding in plain sight. And when looking at all the individuals he's accused of cooperating, there's often no supporting paperwork. But the one name that keeps surfacing in dismissed cases, sealed files, and behind-the-scenes intel is his. So now the question remains, is this all coincidence, or has someone been quietly controlling the narrative the whole time? If you found this breakdown eye-opening, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more deep dives into hip-hop's hidden layers. Tap one of the videos on screen to keep the story going. This one might just be the beginning.